How's it going, everyone? It is Friday, December 6th, 2024. Let's take a look at the picks from the last video. I gave Tesla as a day trade long, and Tesla was right around here when video came out. Market was looking good, but I say, hey, look, let's just wait for, kind of a little pullback here. It was looking nice, but relatively weak. Didn't end up taking Tesla over here because market was moving higher. And I kind of wanted to wait for a contra cycle to see if Tesla was strong or not. And you can see that there's a support over here versus coming up over here where we already sort of made the move. So Tesla ended up being a no trade. Even if you did take it here, you didn't chase the high of the day. You had an opportunity to scratch out of the trade later in the day, leaning on the support level. And on this bounce up higher, had a chance to get out of the trade. So that's what happened with Tesla. No trade on that. So let's take a look at the current picks that we're in. Okay, and starting with APP or app. So we're kind of riding this guy out, and I ended up taking gains at 400. And the reason was market was kind of coming down over here. App had a little bit of selling pressure, but made some nice gains. We broke through this high, and we got this really high volume bearish hammer over here at 400. So it took gains right around 400. You can see the stock continued to rally up higher. So, if you feel like, hey, man, I could have, I missed the gains, I missed some FOMO. It's like, hey, look, on this stock, we got in at 322. And then we rode that up to 400, so that's like a 25% gain on that stock. I mean, this chart is just insanely, just absolutely insane. So, pretty happy with that swing. Now, part of me was like, look, this market's starting to compress, not really doing a whole lot, and starting to scale out over here. And I thought this is some nice gains on app, reduce a little bit of exposure. I was initially considering to hold through the next dip, but the gains actually came a little bit faster than I expected. I thought we would compress and probably retest, and I expected to kind of hold through that. But the fact that we're kind of making this next move up higher, not a bad time to take some gains. Second one here, Reddit. So our average cost is pretty low over here. I got to check what I have on Reddit, but I believe it is... let me see here. Oh yeah, 389, averaging a little bit over here. So our average cost is pretty much right at this prior high where we're checking that level. Stock is rallying pretty well. We have a 1.25x position on that, making a new high. So I think it's going to continue to go upwards. You can see how the stock pulls back to the 8 EMA, rallies up, pulls back, rallies up. So it's still kind of maintaining this nice bullish channel. And if I were to just draw a couple of trend lines on this channel. Here is kind of one, right? Break. When we get to the top, we get a little bit overextended. And then if I draw another one here, you can see that we have a pretty decent channel on the bottom over here. So it does a pretty good job of just getting the trend, pull back, move up higher, pull back, move up higher. So over here, right, when we start to find support, getting through this downward sloping trend line, here's where we want to get in on Reddit and add to the position. Now, I would normally add to these positions December 3rd and so on, but the market has been sort of in this light volume rally, so I'm not crazy about adding to existing swings, but I'm totally cool with kind of riding them out a little bit higher. So I think if Reddit gets to 170-ish, may take some gains, may take some chips off the table, but I do feel confident about riding this swing mostly until, the next earnings release, probably at the end of January. So we're about a month into this stock. Still like it. Still looks good. We're still going to hold it. And I'm planning to hold it through with the FMC. Now, UPSD back on the buy signal, starting to attack in this gap. So we got a little bit of a check here, and then we got back in on this stock. Now, I do want to see a break through this downward sloping trend line. And if I put this over here, you can see we actually didn't get back to that support level before we found support, so that's a little bit more bullish. I like what I see in that stock. We are still in Twillo. that is continuing to rally up. Here's the IPO AVWAP right around here. We broke through that, and now we're starting to rally higher. Now, Twillo's another one where I liked it. Got in somewhere over here, and we're just kind of riding this guy higher because this price action is really strong on really heavy volume. So when you see that, just ride out those moves. Same thing with Netflix continuing to climb up and kind of get those gains back. And any swing that I have right now, I really am just willing to ride through the next FOMC. Team made a really big move yesterday, so it's pulling back a little bit, but it's not shedding a ton of those gains. Let's look at the M15 chart on this guy. Yeah, you can see that it made a big move, pull back, and we'll see if it enters sort of a channel phase on this, where this is a nice, you see this is a pretty orderly trend here, and with I see some selling pressure and some dips up, it may transform into something that what we saw in IO NQ, where we had a strong trend, and then you see the trend started to kind of, weaken out a little bit. By the way, in INQ, I did take some profits yesterday on this trade. This is not really a YouTube pick, but I actually should have waited till today because you want to get it on the breakout to a new high, and that's when you want to get out of the position. This bread candle is still holding pretty well. Just wasn't liking the market as much, which is why I was taking some of the gains over here. Last one we have is GoDaddy. Oh, not important. Okay. It's a Microsoft Teams announcement. Always coming through my videos. GoDaddy holding the gains. We took some partial gains over here. Still like this stock a lot. This is a really nice chart. So again, right, these nice charts. We're taking some gains here. We're expecting a dip. That's really what I'm expecting in the next week or week and a half. So we could float higher. The higher we float, the more chips I'm going to take off the table. If we start to compress here and then roll over, I still actually feel better. And that might feel a little bit counterintuitive, but the reasoning for that is how we move up has to be kind of orderly. And if we start to get a little bit too overheated, we start to accelerate and this light volume float higher on the upside, right? That's going to be poised to a bigger kind of move lower. And we will have some warning signs here. You can see that we had, like, here's this breakout, right? And we expect to see another dip. And we just got this light volume float higher for a little bit of time now. It honestly lasted about June 12th. Yeah, about a month or so. So these could last a little bit of a while. We could even float up higher for the end of the year. Like, it's a possibility. I feel like it's a little bit more likely that we test the downside, or we at least do see some compression for a little bit, and then we rally higher, and then we have a chance to get in some more long. So if we get this sort of pattern, I think we can take some shorter term swings, maybe for a week or week and a half, and if we compress here for a while. But I'd rather see this sort of dip and then come back in, because then the price is a little more attractive. Just to dip down to 600 and then another rally up, then I'm going to add to my swings a little bit and kind of scale out for the year end. So that's really what I'm looking for on a market basis. I know this kind of transitioned to the market analysis without a formal announcement, but it does go hand in hand. And the interesting thing is that you really have your longer term market bias, right? You have this upward sloping trend line. We're in this bullish channel here. We're getting to the top of this channel, and that's where we're going to be scaling out. The volume is light, and the price action has a lot of intraday chop. You can see that just been a lot of, right, after this move up from Thanksgiving, LPTE, 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 especially over here where we kind of went up higher, right? There's a little bit of selling pressure, but not a ton. And just enough of a bid where you want to get in on the dips. So that's what we're seeing on a longer term basis. I outlined a couple of different scenarios here on a swing trading and a day trading basis. So swing trading, I said, look, market's getting a little overextended. It's getting poised for a pullback. We could keep floating higher, and I'm aware of that, so I'm not going to be really shorting the market over here. But we also, I think, are seeing a little bit of stalling in this trend, right? It's not really a super aggressive trend from this move up. We got some checks over here, and we're getting this little float higher, but it's not as strong as what we saw kind of in the beginning of November. So we made a new all-time high on the new bounce. That was our longer-term outlook. And shorter term, we can say, look, we either test 600 order holes, maybe we test 595, which if you look at, I'm going to flip to this chart here. And I know this is a crazy looking chart. So I'm just going to, where can I hide all of this stuff here? Yeah, I'm just putting up these AVWAPs. You can see where they come into play. Prior day AVWAP. This AVWAP from 2 days ago coming as support on these light volume days. So the most important one over here is this blue AVWAP. This blue and purple ones, they kind of coincide at the same time. This is from the prior all-time high, which can act as support. You actually see that over here. Ignore all these drawings, but this red line is this prior all-time high AVWAP. You can see the market broke out and actually tested that, found support, and then ran up higher. And then a lot of these green ones, these are just prior day AVWAPs, but this purple one is this prior all-time high. So I think there's even a chance we could test this 596, 595 level. 595 is from the breakout, and that was a key level for the flip from bullish to bearish on that. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at here in terms of a pullback. And then, that's kind of the bullish scenario. Now, the super bearish scenario is that on the D1 basis, we're not super bearish, but a lot more bearish is we get a much deeper drop that actually comes back and it makes a lower low than the prior support. So here's that prior support low at 518. That was a really deep drop. So if we get a really deep drop down to 585, right, that's a pretty decent move lower. That tells us to be a little more cautious. And we should be able to take some profits to bounce up. I don't know if that's going to happen for the swing traders. Right now, I think it's not super likely, but I think the higher we go up, right, the more likely it is. And it has to be pretty swift. We have to see some decent selling pressure to get there, right? If we just have over here, we have a couple of red candles after a big move, right? And this kind of flushes out a lot of weak hands. We get back in on this dip, and we can start to reload up over here. And then here, right, we have another little smaller dip, and then we can move up higher. So yeah, I feel a lot better getting in on these dips on the swing trades here and just kind of being more passive. So swing trading game plan here is scaling out of longs, preparing for the next dip, reduce my exposure personally by more than 50%, and it's actually gonna be a little bit more right now. It's probably closer to 60% if I check. And I'm willing to hold my remaining swings through a dip. That's the most important part. Through the dip and through the FOMC. Now, yesterday I said, look, if we get a gap up or we get some kind of bullish trend day, take some more gains. If we start to compress for a couple of days, that is also a sign that the trend is slowing down. And I think you want to start scaling out of some longs. If you do take any swing longs, I would take them as very shorter term swings, but I'm not really going to take any swing longs. I'm looking just to sort of day trade at the moment. On positions that I like. I'm going to drop this anchored VWAP right here. And you can see how, yep, that level is coming into play over here. And I think on these low volume days, these seem to be, these seem to kind of hold pretty well. They seem to respect that level. So I think that's quite interesting. Now, shorter term market bias here. Look, we're seeing the market's poised for a pullback. We're not looking to get crazy, but there might be some opportunity to take longs and shorts depending on what we get. So today we had the unemployment. We had a nice little rally here. We had a chance to compress and leg up higher, and it had to be pretty quickly, but we actually got this poke down. And I think this candle right here at 1050 was the clue, right? This poke here, fine, and we should have had a nice green bar higher. And honestly, I mean, even if this lasted a little bit shorter, I'd say something like, if we got something like this is still fine, and we got a nice green bar higher, we're all good. Taking a little bit too long here. Right, and then this is the clue. Hey, I don't think we really should have tested that. And even we tested it. It just tells us that the next leg of the rally is going to be a little bit weaker. And then we start to poke through, and then we test the low of the day. So we're not really doing well for our swing shorts. Now I took some swing shorts here at the low of the day. We got a tall bounce through EVAP, poked above this prior high, and if we can find some support here, I think we have a chance to challenge the high of the day. But if we couldn't break through this low of the day convincingly, I thought that we could have an LPTE day. If we did break through here and this actually closed as a nice red candle and closed through that prior day AVWAP, yeah, okay, I think we had a good chance to move lower. So what really happened at the low of the day would determine the range. And you can see after we kind of didn't break through in the first half of the day, first 3 hours or so, yeah, it's probably going to be an LPT kind of day. I don't think we're going to make a new low, and I don't think we're going to really break a new high. We're going to be stuck in this range, but I think we have a decent shot of challenging the high. We'll have to see if we kind of end up in a pretty similar meat grinder pattern over here or not. But I think we could see something like this where we challenge that high again. You do notice that the trend has still been up, right? Higher high, higher high, higher high, right? Here's a low, here's one low, and actually made a slightly lower low. So it's getting a little bit more volatile. And then as long as this kind of situation holds over here, right, we're kind of keeping this uptrend. We have a pretty shallow bullish trend moving up. So this longer term trend is up, and this shorter term trend tells us that we can find relatively strong stocks. So yeah, that's all our game plan for today. So what do we do over here? Well, some market's pulling back a little bit. We want to find some stocks that are looking pretty good. So a couple of picks that I've highlighted today. Lulu's a nice post-earnings gain. And stock is compressing at the high of the day, losing a little bit of relative strength. But I like it if it can get another test. If we could manage to see a nice little like higher low at VWAP and then come in. So going to create an alert that goes above VWAP. And that's what I would take. Our other option is if we get a, kind of a compression break and all-time high. That's what I was looking for to enter in the trade, but we didn't quite get it on Lulu. I'm going to go through a few others. PLTR is nice, but pulling back over here, kind of choppy. So, again, wait for a dip. And I think the best entry point was somewhere over here at 75. That's the early day entry. The late day entry, we'll see if it happens. It may not quite happen. DocU, nice move up. Again, early day entry over here at 10.05. So if you took some starter longs over there, that was a nice chance to get in on the trade. Beautiful buy signal on that. Let's look at DDOG. Yeah, again, beautiful move. And then here's our selling and our double top. So again, you want to get in that move earlier, I think, on this breakout on the high at 10.50. That's a nice stock entry, but market wasn't really cooperating at 10.50. I wouldn't be crazy about taking that trade, or really not the highest probability trade, even though it worked out in this instance. Meta, ANET. ANET had a nice breakout. Now it's shedding some of those gains coming back in. It is strong, but it does look choppy, so you want to get in on a dip. And Roblox, I liked it quite a bit over here, but it had to break through that high, and you can see it compress. This level at 59 is a long-term D1 gap, so we had to break through and get some movement away from it. Oxy was a short. It may actually be potentially setting up over here. We got a test. Now we have a lower high at VWAP, so I may take this as a decent short here. Now it's forming a bit of a base, but you can see that we poked through here, and there is a lower high over here at VWAP. So may potentially take it, although it hasn't been super relatively weak to the market. It's been decently weak, so that's not a bad short. I did take a long on QQQ right around here. It's pretty much at break even, and didn't really get too much traction, unfortunately. So we'll see what the market does and what QQQ does, but QQQ, you notice, has been very relatively strong to SPY. We had a nice move here. We got a bullish flag and then a nice little breakout. So my entry was good. The better entry was actually over here when you notice it's making the higher lows and testing that rising VWAP over here. That tells us that it's looking pretty good. But right now, market, yeah, looking a little bit LBTE at the moment. So what would I recommend? Let's going to look through a couple of basic day trades here. It's a beautiful move in AVGO. Oracle's pulling back. Not crazy about Flute. Flute is kind of wild here. Let's look at, like, this is my favorite scanner here, Vol, which is a volatile volume. So these are stocks that have a volatility of over 100%, which means they're exceeding their ATR, and they have a volume of, let me check here. It is usually, yeah, it's a volume. This is the scanner, by the way. RVol above 20%, VARVol above 20%, and volatility over here above the party high, and they're above the SMA 50, so I know that they're not, super terrible, and they have a decent price. Weekly options is, you don't have to put this and you can have a little bit of a wider net over here. But it's there over here for just some pretty nice, this sort of nice cleaner movers, in my opinion. Just with the weekly, I think typically with the weekly options, the price action tends to be a little bit more predictable. Let's look at Meta over here. Yeah, so make a nice move over here. It's flagging, losing some relative strength, but not a bad place to enter on a dip if it can hold this support and stop forming these higher lows. So Meta is potentially interesting. You could take a quick little day trade on that. Yeah, what I would do is, I mean, a really advanced thing would be to hold it here, and then if it breaks through, you take a quick loss, and then if it comes up, then you actually have a really nice runway. So not a bad little show, but the probability is lower because we haven't seen this support. I mean, we've seen it hold, but it didn't actually rally up with the market over here from 1240 to 120. So we want to see a stock that has rallied up in that market and then is actually compressing. So there's still some selling pressure here on Meta. AI, ASTS, that's actually looking decent. App there's a bearish hammer off a new all-time high. It's actually a decent potential day trade. But, yeah, we got to see, I want to see the market hold here. And all the day trades are conditional on a higher low. So we got to see some sort of a bounce here. And then I feel a little bit better about taking that, assuming that the low of the day is going to hold. That's really the assumption that we're doing on these picks. Let me look at Reddit. Yeah, that's holding up pretty well over here. This is a little bit high volume candles, so not crazy about that, but I'm going to set an alert right here. Yeah, but I'd take it light on the day trades, and trying to see what pick I would really recommend here. I like Oxy Short, but not crazy about that. So I'm going to run a search here. And I think that's probably what I'm going to end the video on. So what I really like to see is a stock that is some relative strength to the market. Okay, so quite a few here. It's above its prior day high. That clears out actually quite a few stocks. And I want to see a stock that is in M5 compression and is in a pretty top half of the day range. This is really one of my favorite setups. So not a ton here. Kodak, interestingly enough, on a little bit higher price. So it's really just AVGO at the moment that is that strong. Bearish engulf though, and it's approaching, I think, some D1 resistance. Yeah, it's at the gap over here. I mean, look at this chart over here, right? There's just a ton of D1 candles in the way. Just changing that to a softer color. Yeah, so that's coming up in the way. So we may have to loosen our filter over here. Let's just look at stocks that are in relative strength. Okay, there's a couple here. ACAM. Okay, it's made a decent reversal off that low. Hey, Netflix. In that trade, let's take a look at Netflix. You haven't even done any volume filters. Yeah, I mean, it's grinding up. Volume is okay. It's pretty low. NVO's already kind of made that move. Okay, Tesla, I like a lot. Here's what I like. So it's compressing here. Compress, 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 compress. We got a buy signal over here. Am I really going to take Tesla 2 days in a row? Well, here's what I like. So we have this big move here, digesting the gains, unable to get knocked down. We've got these higher lows, and we have a pretty good price if we get through here. I'm going to put up 1 OP on this. Yeah, we got this bullish cycle that's starting to produce. Yeah, we've got a fresh buy signal. I do like Tesla here. And what I would do is I would probably lean on this line right here. And I'm assuming if I drop an anchored VWAP, I wonder if it found some, yeah, it looks like it found some support there. Didn't rally with the market earlier, didn't get shut down too hard. So it feels like, see this huge flag, it's really kind of poised to break out. And it's support here, some support here. So I'm willing to take the move down to VWAP. So am I going to do Tesla again? I think I might do Tesla again. This is just, I like this setup because we're not really chasing the move. It's holding up pretty well. And so the move is going to be fresh when we get the breakout. So I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say Tesla long as a day trade. And let's see if we end up taking it this time. I do like it here. And I am willing to take this as long as the market holds the low of the day. So I'd take a small size here and then add on confirmation. So that's going to be the trade on Tesla. Small size. I'd take a small size right now, honestly. Add on confirmation. And then if market breaks the low of the day, you take a tiny loss on Tesla. So that is our trade of the day. Once again, thanks for watching. Everyone, take a look at our swings. Take a look at this Tesla day trade round 2 on Monday.